A Tuscaloosa man wanted for murder is behind bars tonight. We're glad to be with you. I'm Jabari Pruitt. Right off the top, 40-year-old Anthony Wells was arrested for the murder of 49-year-old Cleophas Henderson Jr. Police say Wells was leaving the scene of a car break-in on August 6th. Police say he ran a red light and crashed into another vehicle. Henderson died at the crash. It happened at the intersection of Helen Keller and University Boulevards. Wells is in the Tuscaloosa County Jail on $60,000 bond. One person is dead and 4 others injured, including a child. 32-year-old Antonio Hinkle was killed during the shooting. It happened last night after a Love Thy Neighbor event in Brighton. Organizers say there were nearly 300 people still at the event during the shooting. It's believed there were multiple shooters.
And the saddest thing about it is individuals pointed guns in crowd where kids were. And they pulled the trigger where those kids were. My heart dropped.
No one has been arrested. And Bessemer police are looking for this woman, 29-year-old Ashea Huddleston. She's accused of stabbing her mother, 49-year-old Tammy Huddleston, to death in the Walmart parking lot in Bessemer. Now, police say the woman was fighting with her daughter when she was stabbed several times. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Ashea, you can call Bessemer police at 205-425-4211. After 16-year-old Tyler Bigham was killed in a car crash last week, the Northport community is keeping his memory alive. WVUA 23's Madison McLean joins us live now with more. Madison.
Jabari, one Northport woman is making blue bows to put on mailboxes and county school buses to remember the life of Tyler Bigham. Northside High School student Tyler Bigham was just 16 when his life was taken in a car crash Monday. The community is now keeping his spirit alive, one that his family describes as a light that will be missed.
Tyler was 16. He was very young, but he was very wise and mature for his age. And I would want them to realize that, he was just such, a gentleman and a good, like I said, a good Christian young man. So he always done right. He never would ever, falter. So just a very positive and uplifting young person.
In the face of such a heartbreaking tragedy, this close-knit community is making sure Tyler's light still shines. In honor of his favorite color and the color of the water he loved to fish on, people have hung blue bows on mailboxes, cars, and county school buses. Susan Dockery has made over 75 bows in just 3 days.
It's very heartbreaking to our community when we lose, especially a child as young as what Tyler was, and it's deeply hurt all of us. But like I said, we're a close-knit community, and it's drawn us all closer together.
Tyler's family hopes to continue to celebrate his life and remains positive, just the way Tyler would want it.
Everybody, he's made our community stronger and come together, and our community is just more than friends. It's now become a family because of Tyler.
Tyler's family also told me they plan to host a fishing tournament in his honor. Reporting live in the studio, Madison McLean, WVUA 23 News.
And this coming Tuesday at noon, the official results will be certified after the provisional ballots are counted in Northport. The mayor's race and districts 1 and 5 are heading to runoffs. The runoff election is October 4th. And it looks like cursive writing will be introduced to students sooner. Alabama passed a law requiring elementary schools to introduce cursive writing. Lexi's law went into effect early August, requiring second-grade students to learn it.
I think it's an art form, and I think it's a faster way to write, and teaches them how to hold their pencil correctly and to form their letters correctly. It's a little bit better than printing does.
Now, by the end of 3rd grade, students will be able to write lower and uppercase cursive. And turning our attention now to the weather, Alex Puckett is here with a first look at that forecast. Alex, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Jabari. And again, another hot and humid one for West Alabama today. Temperatures topping out in the mid-90s this afternoon. Some spots got a little bit of relief in the afternoon from a couple of isolated showers and storms, but most of us stayed bone dry this afternoon, and that led to just an oppressive day outdoors. Live look at Tuscaloosa right now, 79 degrees, but we hit 94 for our high here in downtown Tuscaloosa. And getting your kids ready for the bus stop tomorrow morning. Expected to be warm and muggy to start the day. 7 a.m., 78 degrees outside, and it's only going to get hotter from there. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'll have more information about the tropics and a new depression that's formed. Jabari.
All right, Alex, thank you. Well, you still have time to donate to the Louisiana flood victims. Read Bama Read sponsored a drive at Winn-Dixie in Northport to help them. Now, they're collecting dog food, cat litter, toasters, and coffee makers. The drive ends Wednesday. And 53 years ago today, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech in Washington. Dr. King spoke to more than 250,000 people who had come to Washington to demonstrate on behalf of equal rights. In other news tonight, all states have different driving laws, but here in Alabama, some laws can be confusing for drivers. WVUA 23 Sheila O'Connor joins us live. And Sheila, I understand you tested some of those drivers.
That's right, Jabari. I decided to head to the streets and ask drivers if they knew the common traffic laws. You know what this sign means?
Hospital sign?
School is back in session, and that means an increase in out-of-state drivers. All right, do you know what to do with the sign?
Stoplight ahead.
Samantha Engel is from Ohio and says driving in Alabama is different.
I feel like they're pretty similar in laws, but I feel like everyone drives a little bit nicer down here. People from Ohio kind of have road rage, I think.
Bailey Waite says if drivers aren't familiar with the driving culture here, their own habits can come into play.
Sometimes people could cut you off because they're not as familiar with the way people around here drive.
For any new drivers, Northport Police Captain Keith Carpenter has some advice.
But not to let social media or their phones or their radio distract them, and just to drive defensively.
Engel also says that the use of cell phones is a bad habit.
I've seen girls just like driving, and guys I guess too, but they'll just be driving and not even like looking at the road at all.
Adrian Marmolejo drives from Birmingham to Tuscaloosa during the week and encounters several frustrating moments.
Most frustrating is blinkers, so communicating with other cars. That's a big thing. You know, if you're not communicating with other people, it's usually the cause of most accidents.
And Northport Police Captain Keith Carpenter says drivers should always be familiar with their surroundings. Jabari?
Well, Sheila, after putting the drivers to the test, how did they do?
Well, Jabari, a lot of drivers passed, but all got confused by this sign, which actually means you're on a divided highway. Jabari?
All right, seems confusing to me, Sheila. Thank you. Well, Rock Quarry baseball team wanted to give back to the community, so 38 7th and 8th graders volunteered at United Cerebral Palsy of West Alabama today. They painted, planted, and cleaned up the facility. The team plans on completing 3 projects this year.
They want to be able to help their community. They want to be able to represent Tuscaloosa City School and Rock Quarry, and they're just really excited to be able to serve. And that's what we want to present and be a light for Tuscaloosa City, and hopefully we can continue and get other people to get involved as well.
Now, if you would like to volunteer, you can contact United Cerebral Palsy of West Alabama at 205-345-3031. And you may be familiar with free libraries, but one family in Northport is personalizing the project. WVUA 23's Kaylee McCarthy has more.
Holly Rogers was killed in a car crash in 2007.
She was killed by a drunk driver that was 3 times over the legal limit, and she was taken from us, and we don't want anyone to ever experience that kind of pain.
Holly's family created the Holly Rogers Project in honor of her life. The project allows the community to access books in a library outside their home.
Holly loved children. She worked at a daycare when she had her accident, so she loved children. She loved children's books, and she loved the community. She grew up in Northport. She lived here almost all of her 20 years.
Now, members of the community are invited to grab a book or leave a book.
Hopefully they'll get excited that they can walk down the street and pick out a book, their own book, finish it, bring another one. We want to make it accessible to all kids, especially to kids that may not have a way to get to a library except at school.
The community has had an active role in the project as well. There's a waiting list of people wanting their own little free library.
I don't think she knew when she left this earth how loved she was, and 9 years later for people to still love and remember and want to do something in her memory is just amazing to me.
Holly's best friend Jenny Burrows also wants the Holly House to be a symbol of drunk driving.
We really hope that the Holly House, we also want it to be a symbol, not to drink and drive, not to put yourself and others in that position, because, that was how Holly was tragically killed.
The next Holly House will be unveiled in Forest Glen. The family is working on 5 more in hopes that these houses will pop up all over Northport. In Northport, Kaylee McCarthy, WVUA 23 News.
And still to come on the news at 10, it was a craft beer festival in Tuscaloosa like no other. We'll take you there. And one local bar could soon shut down. We'll tell you why when we're coming back.